Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. This one is inspired by the plant that was in the first picture called a string of hearts. So you can kind of see where the inspiration for the cutout came from. So I'm working in my craft journal. This is the new one from Dina Wakley. I think it's one of my favourites at the minute, mostly because of the thickness of the pages. They are just perfect for doing cutout pages because they're really sturdy pages, so they don't kind of go all floppy when you cut bits out of them. So I'm starting off just adding some paint onto the page. I've started off with Ruby and then Permanent Red Violet Light from Amsterdam Acrylic, and then Fuchsia from Dina Wakley. If you didn't have the Permanent Red Violet Light from Amsterdam Acrylic, then the Magenta, beg your pardon, from Dina Wakley would work just as well. Then I'm just using this heart stencil, also from Dina Wakley, and just adding a little bit of stencil detail on top in white. I just wanted there to be a bit of interest on top of the colour before I did the cutout. So you can see that I'm only using the smaller hearts on this, so I was kind of moving it around so that I could just get those on the background. And then I'm doing exactly the same, as close as I can, on the reverse of that page too. So adding in the paints, and then once it was dry, going in and adding some more stenciling. I'm just using a makeup sponge to apply the stenciling as well, just making sure that there's not too much paint on the sponge so it doesn't bleed underneath. Then this is a Stabilo awl, and I'm just drawing out roughly the design that I'm going to cut. So I'm doing a border, and then the hearts, which I'm joining with like a little stalk in between. So it's kind of very loosely based on that plant, as you can see. So once I've drawn that out, and then just cutting round these things, and you can see that these pieces are coming out in whole chunks, which is quite good because I'm going to show you what I did with those afterwards. So sometimes if you can manage to cut these things out in whole pieces, you can use the bits that you've cut out for something else. So this is a craft knife, but I think it's almost like a scalpel. It is really, really sharp, and I find that's the best thing to use for when I do my cutouts. So then, because I'd obviously drawn it with the Stabilo awl pencil, I'm just then water activating it using a water brush, just to add that lovely dark shadow to the edges of the cutout. So then here you can see this is an iCAD that I've done for the challenge that's going on at the minute. And I've just used those pieces that I cut out and I've sewn them onto the iCAD and then drawn a design into the gaps in between. And there we had an iCAD that was made by using the bits that I'd cut out from the page. So I'm just doing the same on the reverse of the page again, just putting the Stabilo all around the edge of the design. It just kind of helps it stand out. I love the look of the Stabilo awl when you water activate it. It's just, I don't know, there's something really special about it. So then on the page that you can see through the cutout, I'm just adding some paint onto the background, starting off with Ruby, and then again the Permanent Red Violet Light and Fuchsia. So just using the same colours so that the pages work together and there's a cohesiveness to them. So this is a Dina Wakley chipboard element that I've had quite a long time. I don't think it's not one of the new ones, and I've just stuck some black paint on there. This is some collage paper that's also from Dina Wakley, and it's from a pack called Elements. It is one of her newer ones. So I'm just putting 3 pieces of that on there, using gel medium to stick it down. I just wanted to kind of break up the colour on the background a little bit with this one. Okay, so once that was dry, I then used a white Signo Uniball pen and just did a bit of journaling onto the figure. Added a smudge of black paint at the bottom so that it had something to be grounded on and wasn't just floating in the air. And then using double-sided tape, I stuck it into the book, making sure that it would peep through the cutout on the page. Then I was just decided that I would do some doodling. As you know, I love circles. I mean, lots of people do. Lots of art journalists use circles in their work. It's a really satisfying shape. and it works really well with the little dots as well. So I just did a bit of doodling onto the page, and now this white does work really well on the craft background too. So then I've stuck a piece of collage tissue paper onto a piece of A4 paper using some sellotape, and I'm just going to feed it through my printer and print out some words to go onto my page. I was just adding some more paint over that collage tissue paper that was on the background just to push it away a little bit. So you can see there I've got it out of the printer, and now I'm just cutting it out. The only problem with my printer is it's an inkjet and not a, is it a laser printer? I think so. The inkjet, the ink isn't colour fast, so I have to be very careful not to get it too wet. So I'm just carefully placing those on. Ooh, kept going wonky. It's been very naughty. And trying not to smudge the writing too much. And there we go. So this page was inspired by this beautiful trailing plant called a string of hearts, and that was what inspired the cutout here on this first page, and kind of that was how the page started off really, and it grew from that idea. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Until next time, see you soon.